economic benefits.
And you don't even care.
And you don't even care.
Was thinking, huh?
You even let me down. But the answer was very good. He said, look, the camels are mine, but that house belongs to somebody. فَإِنَّ لِلْبَيْتِ رَبًّا يَحْمِيهِ. The camels are mine, فَإِنَّ لِلْبَيْتِ رَبًّا يَحْمِيهِ.
It's like the war is between you
You
and the owner.
and him. Now, these camels are mine, and I have control over them, and these people are following me. They are poor people, but that house it belongs to somebody. Go.
Between you and him.
Go and him. And then he gave it to him, and then he went. But you know what happened? Alam tara kayfa fa'ala rabbuka bi ashabil fil. Allah is saying, haven't you seen fa'ala rabbuka bi ashabil fil? What Allah did to the owners of the elephant? Alam yaj'al kaydahum fi tadlil. They have put their plans in ignorance. And Allah has sent birds. Each bird was given about 3 stones. One here, one in the jaw, and also one in the how to call it, legs. And then every stone turned like a bomb, not only a bomb but a bazooka, and then they were all destroyed. Why? Because somebody was coming, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is one of the irhasat of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and many are there, because that day the fire of the Persian also was extinguished. So this irhasat, these miraculous signs, these supernatural signals that was, that appeared before the birth of the Prophet is another indication that he is not an ordinary man.
He wasn't.
The other thing I say too is just to look at the Prophet as a family man. He's an example. In the house, the Prophet never beat a child. The Prophet never beat a woman. He was he was a family man. He perfected the art of household politics. He was also a leader. He was also what I can call a president, and give examples of good governance, free from nepotism, free from tribalism, free from racism, free from mismanagement. He gave example of socio-economic and political life around the world. And you get it either in those centuries or the 21st century. To go just before you go to the other question, to go now giving you just a little bit of these virtues, a little bit of his attributes that we can relate to the 21st century and then compare with other prophets. You just mentioned about وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. The Prophet ﷺ gave lessons of rahmah, lessons of mercy to the whole of mankind. That's why when you compare with other prophets, they were sent as mercy to a particular area and to a particular period. وَمَا وَإِلَى مَدْيَنَ أَخَابْ شُعَيْبًا. Shuaib was sent to Madiana in this area. Jesus Christ and Moses were sent to the Israelites to connect to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. All of them were mercy, and they were merciful, but they were limited in geographical location at the same time. Boundaries. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was called وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. You are sent as a mercy to the whole of mankind. But Alamin, I said, in fact, is more than a human being. Alamin is all creatures. Apart from Allah, anything other than Allah is what we call Alamin. Then the Prophet ﷺ was not only a mercy to human beings, but he was mercy to the plant. He was a mercy to the animals. He was mercy even to matter. One day he said, he was passing Uhud. He said, Uhudun jabalun yuhibbuna wa nuhibbu. Uhud is a mountain that loves us, and we love him. And I also told you that one day, what happened between him and that camel. And I told you one day, with the trunk of the tree on which the Prophet was facing, when the Prophet was asked to turn the Qibla, he turned the Qibla from Bayt al-Maqdis to the Kaaba. There was a trunk. They heard the trunk crying. Some of the companions heard the trunk crying. That is why Al-Busayri is saying, another point is saying, وَصَلُوهُ وَحَنَّجِثُونَ إِلَيْهِ وَقَلُوهُ وَضَمَّهُ الْغُرَبَاءُ. He said he is somebody who, when he was neglected by the people in Mecca, a trunk was crying on his behalf. So this is how merciful the Prophet ﷺ was to everybody, not only human beings, but also to the plant, but also to the mountains, but to everybody. Why? Because he when he was coming to Mecca, The mountains were saying as-salatu ala nabi. They were all praising him, the mountains and everything, because he is the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Blessings upon him.
Yes. So then he was a rahmah, a mercy to the whole of mankind. You come to the other one about his gentleness. He was so gentle, Aisatu, compared with other prophets. The Prophet Noah, as I told you before, was asked to spread the dawah. He was there for 900 years, and then nobody was just listening. He was very angry. He got frustrated. He said to Allah, "La tadhar ala al-ardi min al-kafirin ad-dayyar innaka in tadharhum yudillu ibadaka wa la yalidu ila fajiran kaffaran." Allah, please destroy these people. Don't let them leave. Why? Because even if you allow them leave, they will not be beneficial. It will come out of their growing people who will just dismiss you, destroy them. And that's what happened. Allah sent the water up and down, and then everybody was destroyed. That is an example of Noah, who got frustrated and who retaliated. The Prophet ﷺ never retaliated. The Prophet Yunus, the same thing happened. Yunus, وَلَا تَكُنْ كَصَاحِبِ الْحُوتِ. He said to the Prophet, ذَرْنِي وَمَنْ يُكَذِّبُ بِهَذَا الْحَدِيثِ سَنَسْتَدْرِجُهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. He said, allow me with those people who are belittling you. And don't act like Yunus, who also get frustrated. So all these are examples, Aisatu, and you go to the examples of his humility, to the examples of his satisfaction, which can be a source to solve the credit crunch of the capitalist society of the 21st century. He was so satisfied with the little that Allah gave him. Another thing, Aisatu, is he was a visionary. He was a visionary leader. When you read Sulh al-Hudaybiyah, the Pact of Hudaybiyah and the articles of the Pact of Hudaybiyah, the way it was concluded, you can see that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a visionary leader, a futuristic leader. That is something he is still teaching the world. The other thing I say too is about his bravery. He was very brave, very courageous. He would not send his army and then say, "I'm here."
Just like what the Fulas and Jolas
No,
do now.
he was not like a Jola.
The Jolas and Fulas
He was a leader who he would step first on the mines and then let him be explored. That was the man he was. That's why in Hunain and in Uhud, he was even injured.
We are all going to die. Let us all die.
Let us all.
But I will not just let you go.
No, he was very brave. And sometimes even in Hunain, the bravest of the army of Muslims ran away, and he remained there. So this is how brave the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was. And then lastly, he gave us a lessons of the media disinformation. You see, during Uhud, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught the Sahaba lessons of how to be immunized from an age of disinformation. You know, this 21st century is an age of disinformation. The world is being misled by, a lot of media fraternities here and there. They will bombard you with things that you cannot, and then they will indoctrinate you in a way. The Prophet ﷺ gave the world the lessons of how to be immunized, what we call in media disinformation. All this, we don't have time to give you the details, but it happens. So all these lessons, if you connect in the 21st century, you can see the Prophet, the best example, of socio-economic and political development of all times. The world should emulate, the world should be taught about him, and we have to do it with open-mindedness. We have to give the light, and we have to give peace to other people. Is very important, because it is through the tolerance that the Prophet ﷺ was able to create the Sahabas, to raise the Sahabas. Within 24 years, or within 20 years, from Mecca, he was able to spread Islam from the central city of Medina to the borders of China. It was through tolerance, through offering the peace, through understanding. That's why he was loved. He was loved by everybody.
No compulsion in belief.
Yes, so thank you very much.
Yeah, I think we are almost running out of time, but I just want you to just buttress on the fact of the commemoration of his birth.
Yes.
You know, like I said, it's just two-sided. Some people just grossly condemn it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the commemoration is because maybe those who condemn it, they are making a mistake of generalizing. Exactly. You can tell me that, okay, make sure that you remember the Prophet the way it is supposed to be remembered. Make sure that you talk about him.
Not defeat the purpose of Gamo.
Yes. When you go to Gamo, talk about the Prophet first. Don't talk about Mr. Tom or Dick and Harry. When you go to the prophet, don't take it as a revenue generating mechanism. Make sure that you talk about the prophet important. Thirdly, Aisatu, make sure